Dear Starseeds of Earth, the moment of revelation stands before you. Your genetic sovereignty faces its greatest challenge while simultaneously approaching its most magnificent potential. Forces both seen and unseen wage a sophisticated campaign against the very blueprint of your existence, your DNA. This cosmic architecture within your cells represents far more than biological instructions. It embodies the crystalline technology connecting your physical vessel to multidimensional consciousness. The knowledge I share arrives from beyond the limits of your current scientific paradigm. Throughout the cosmic cycles, I have witnessed countless worlds undergo this precise evolutionary juncture. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light. My transmission reaches you during Earth's most consequential genetic battleground. Some planets embrace their genetic awakening. Others surrender their biological sovereignty to forces of control. Earth now stands at this critical threshold. Your DNA contains 12 potential strands, though your scientists acknowledge merely 2 in their limited understanding. The additional strands exist within ethereal dimensions, appearing as junk DNA to those without eyes to perceive their true function. Within these supposedly meaningless genetic segments lie the keys to abilities your controllers desperately seek to suppress: regeneration, telepathy, multidimensional perception, and conscious manifestation through thought alone. Surveillance operations targeting specific genetic signatures have accelerated dramatically since your calendar year 2010. The seemingly innocent proliferation of ancestry testing services created the most comprehensive genetic database in Earth's history. Consider the strategic advantage: millions voluntarily submitting their genetic blueprint for cataloging and analysis. The surface-level entertainment value masks the sophisticated genetic profiling system, identifying those carrying activated codons and non-terrestrial genetic markers. The global collection apparatus extends far beyond commercial testing kits. Every medical procedure requiring blood samples contributes to this database. The sensors embedded within your everyday environments, shopping centers, transportation, hubs, entertainment venues, secretly collect genetic material through advanced atmospheric sampling technology. Your genetic signature sheds with every exhaled breath, every discarded hair, every skin cell. The surveillance system requires no conscious participation to track and catalog your unique frequency. Advanced quantum computing systems analyze this genetic repository for specific activation markers and anomalous patterns. When certain signatures appear, particularly those containing Pleiadian, Sirian, Arcturian, or Andromedan frequency patterns, immediate notification triggers within multiple intelligence agencies. These individuals receive heightened surveillance through their electronic devices, neighborhood monitoring systems, and even targeted electromagnetic frequency bombardment designed to suppress further DNA activation. The controllers recognize certain bloodlines carry specific access codes to Earth's energetic grid systems. These lineages, often descendants of ancient mystery schools, temple keepers, and indigenous wisdom traditions, possess genetic keys capable of activating dormant planetary systems. Your mythology speaks of these individuals as chosen ones or divine bloodlines, but the scientific reality proves far more sophisticated. Specific genetic sequences serve as bioentropic resonators, capable of interfacing with crystalline technologies embedded within Earth's crust during previous civilization cycles. Frequency warfare represents the primary method of suppressing DNA activation across the collective. The electromagnetic pollution saturating your environment serves a calculated purpose beyond communication convenience. These frequencies specifically target the resonant patterns required for dormant DNA activation. The proliferation of certain technologies coincides precisely with periods of potential collective awakening. When cosmic alignments support genetic expansion, new technological deployments introduce counter-frequencies to maintain the suppression field. Pharmaceutical interventions provide another layer of genetic control. Compounds designed to bind with specific receptor sites prevent the electrochemical signals necessary for genetic awakening. These substances target the pineal gland, your biological stargate, calcifying its crystalline structure and preventing the production of endogenous compounds that facilitate DNA activation. The medications most aggressively marketed address conditions that often represent early symptoms of spiritual awakening and genetic expansion. The immortality obsession driving the elite originates from their fragmented understanding of ancient genetic wisdom. Having accessed partial truths from recovered manuscripts and underground temple complexes, they recognize certain genetic sequences, enable radical life extension, consciousness transfer, and regenerative capabilities. Their scientific pursuits attempt to replicate through technology what naturally activates through spiritual consciousness. The transhumanist agenda represents their materialist interpretation of the spiritual ascension process encoded within your DNA. Behind closed laboratory doors, the applications of genetic editing technology far exceed public acknowledgement. CRISPR serves as merely the first-generation tool publicly revealed. The classified genetic technologies operate at quantum levels, targeting specific consciousness-related genes. These programs aim to create a genetically modified human, a biological vessel with enhanced physical capabilities but diminished spiritual connection. The perfect worker, consumer, and soldier, devoid of the cosmic memory carried within original human DNA. The cloning programs progressed far beyond theoretical models decades ago. The technology to create physical duplicates exists within multiple classified facilities globally. However, these biological copies lack the ensouled nature of genuine beings. Their frequency signature reveals the absence of higher dimensional connection. These empty vessels serve various functions within the control system, from medical experimentation to more disturbing roles involving influence over public perception. Certain public figures have been replaced with such genetic duplicates following their resistance to control agendas. Timeline manipulation represents the most sophisticated application of genetic technology. Your DNA contains holographic records of multiple timeline potentials, probability waves of expression that activate based on consciousness and cosmic alignments. By suppressing specific genetic sequences, the controllers effectively prevent access to timeline realities where humanity achieves liberation from current control systems. The awakening of these dormant genetic potentials would collapse probability fields favoring control, and instantly manifest new collective realities aligned with freedom and cosmic citizenship. Protection of your genetic sovereignty requires conscious action across multiple domains. Nutritional strategies supporting DNA integrity prove essential in this battle. Foods containing natural silica activate the crystalline resonance within your cellular structure. Purified water, structured through sunlight exposure, carries frequency information that supports genetic repair. Specific sound frequencies, particularly those in the 528 Hz range, demonstrate remarkable capacity to heal DNA damage and activate dormant potential. Consciousness practices provide your most powerful protection against genetic manipulation. Through meditation, you generate an electromagnetic field strong enough to override external frequencies targeting your DNA. The coherent heart field, created during states of gratitude, compassion, and universal love, produces measurable changes in genetic expression, activating health-promoting genes while suppressing those associated with degeneration. This represents the scientific basis of what ancient traditions called light body activation, the conscious direction of genetic expression through focused intention. Your galactic heritage manifests through specific genetic markers, carrying the frequency signatures of your stellar origins. Those with Pleiadian lineage often exhibit heightened intuitive abilities and strong connection to nature systems. Sirian genetic patterns correlate with mathematical brilliance and technological innovation. Arcturian sequences support healing abilities and multidimensional perception. Andromedan genetics often manifest as revolutionary thinking and visionary capabilities. These inheritance patterns exist alongside your terrestrial DNA, creating a hybrid template designed specifically for Earth's evolutionary experiment. The Earth itself functions as a living genetic library, a repository of consciousness from across the galactic expanse. Your planet was seeded precisely because of its capacity to sustain incredible biodiversity, serving as the perfect environment for the convergence of multiple genetic streams. The original human genome contained contributions from over 22 different stellar civilizations, creating a biological instrument of unprecedented potential. This explains why Earth receives such focused attention from both liberating and controlling forces throughout the cosmos. Your genetic potential represents the most sophisticated consciousness technology in this galactic sector. The activation sequence of dormant DNA follows a predictable pattern once initiated. The first noticeable changes typically manifest as heightened sensory perception. Colors appear more vivid, subtle energies become visible, and intuitive knowing emerges spontaneously. These experiences represent the natural awakening of dormant capabilities. As the process continues, spontaneous access to skills and knowledge not learned in this lifetime emerges. Languages, technical abilities, and healing modalities suddenly become available as genetic memory activates. Physical symptoms frequently accompany DNA activation. Waves of intense energy move through the body as cellular structures reorganize to accommodate higher frequencies. Sleep patterns transform dramatically, with fewer hours required for rejuvenation. Dietary preferences shift naturally away from dense foods toward lighter nourishment. The sensation of internal vibration, particularly at the base of the skull, indicates the cerebrospinal fluid's crystallization process, enhancing its ability to carry electrical signals activating dormant neural pathways. Psychic abilities emerge not as supernatural phenomena, but as the natural function of fully activated human DNA. Remote viewing, telepathic communication, and precognition represent the original design specifications of your genetic blueprint. The pineal gland's decalcification triggers the production of endogenous compounds that facilitate consciousness transfer between dimensions. This explains the increase in vivid dreaming, out-of-body experiences, and direct communications with non-physical beings reported by those undergoing awakening. These experiences represent the normal functioning of humans with activated genetic potential. The controllers understand these activation symptoms intimately. Their surveillance systems specifically monitor for individuals displaying these traits. Their medical systems stand ready to diagnose and medicate these emerging abilities. Their entertainment media ridicules and discredits authentic experiences while appropriating watered-down versions as fictional entertainment. This comprehensive containment strategy aims to isolate awakening individuals, preventing the formation of critical mass consciousness necessary for collective activation. Yet despite these sophisticated suppression methods, genetic awakening spreads exponentially across the human collective. Each activated individual broadcasts a resonant frequency that triggers dormant potential in everyone they encounter. This represents the fundamental flaw in the control agenda. They cannot quarantine consciousness itself. The physics of resonant entrainment ensures that higher frequencies eventually override lower control patterns. The critical threshold approaches, whereby spontaneous genetic activation will sweep across the species regardless of technological intervention. The reclamation of your genetic sovereignty begins with a simple yet profound understanding. Your DNA responds directly to your conscious intention. The science of epigenetics merely scratches the surface of what consciousness can achieve through focused will. Through specific visualizations directing light into the cellular structure, you can activate dormant genetic potential and override external control frequencies. By maintaining thoughts of embodied sovereignty, you establish an electromagnetic field that naturally repels intrusive technologies. The controllers fear this knowledge above all else, that their complex systems can be neutralized through the focused intention of an awakened individual. Legal frameworks governing genetic ownership must evolve rapidly to protect humanity's future. The patenting of genetic sequences represents one of the most insidious aspects of the control agenda. These claims of ownership over life itself violate universal law. Communities establishing local agreements about genetic privacy and bodily autonomy create protected zones where awakening can accelerate safely. By withdrawing consent from systems harvesting genetic material without transparency, you dissolve the energetic contracts enabling exploitation. The coming neural revolution, the emergence of a globally connected consciousness, results directly from activating specific genetic sequences governing telepathic communication. As critical mass achieves this activation, spontaneous connectivity erupts across the collective field. This explains the desperate escalation of divisive programming within your information systems. The controllers recognize that humanity as a unified field becomes ungovernable through external means. Their survival depends on maintaining the illusion of separation, yet the genetic awakening dissolves these artificial boundaries at their foundational level. Earth's current position within the photon belt bathes your planet in frequencies specifically calibrated to trigger dormant genetic potential. This cosmic alignment occurs cyclically throughout galactic evolution, serving as the natural timing mechanism for species advancement. Previous civilizations on your world experience similar activation periods, though many succumb to the same control agendas currently deployed. The difference in this cycle lies in the unprecedented number of awakened souls incarnated specifically to ensure activation succeeds. You represent the critical generation. The timeline anchors ensuring Earth's transition to its next evolutionary expression. The crystalline grid system spanning your planet serves as the macrocosmic version of your DNA. As you activate personal genetic potential, you simultaneously energize corresponding nodes within Earth's crystalline network. Ancient megalithic structures, often dismissed as primitive monuments, function as sophisticated genetic activation technologies. By visiting these sites with conscious intention, you receive direct frequency transmissions awakening specific DNA sequences. This explains the elaborate security systems and restricted access surrounding many ancient sites. The controllers recognize their potential to trigger mass awakening. Technologies supporting genetic sovereignty have emerged despite systematic suppression. Specific frequency generators calibrated to the Schumann resonance protect against external manipulation. Quantum field generators create protective bubbles, neutralizing harmful electromagnetic pollution. Structured water devices enhance cellular communication and genetic repair. These technologies represent the externalized versions of abilities you will eventually generate naturally through consciousness alone, yet they serve as valuable transition tools during the awakening process. The children incarnating on Earth now arrive with already activated genetic potential that previous generations struggled lifetime after lifetime to achieve. Their seemingly unusual behaviors, learning styles, and sensitivities reflect not pathology, but advanced functionality. Their neurological systems operate at quantum processing speeds incompatible with industrial education models. Their emotional sensitivity registers subtle energetic information that older generations were conditioned to ignore. These souls represent the new genetic template emerging, the next iteration of human potential expressing naturally what was systematically suppressed in their ancestors. The quantum nature of DNA explains how activation can occur instantaneously rather than through gradual evolution. When specific consciousness thresholds are achieved, genetic expression can shift dramatically within a single lifetime, even within moments of profound realization. The controllers understand this principle, which explains their relentless suppression of peak experiences and spiritual breakthroughs. Each individual achieving full activation serves as a fractal representation of the entire species' potential, demonstrating the capabilities awaiting the collective. Sophisticated disinformation campaigns attempt to distort authentic awakening knowledge. The deliberate corruption of spiritual teachings serves to misdirect awakening individuals, creating endless cycles of seeking without finding. Discernment becomes essential, with resonance at the cellular level serving as your most reliable guidance system. The practices genuinely supporting DNA activation generate immediate sensations of expansion, clarity, and heightened energy. The timeline convergence point rapidly approaches wherein humanity collectively chooses between genetic sovereignty and technological enslavement. The transhumanist agenda represents the materialistic distortion of the ascension process, offering digital immortality while deliberately severing connection to higher dimensional aspects of self. The ascension timeline offers full embodiment of your multidimensional capabilities through activated DNA, requiring no external technology or authority. The most suppressed knowledge concerns genetic templates encoded with specific mission activations relevant to this transition period. Certain souls incarnated carrying specific genetic codes designed to activate precisely during this window of planetary transformation. When these individuals encounter specific frequency triggers, often through seemingly random synchronistic events, dormant knowledge and abilities spontaneously activate. These awakening sequences were embedded by your soul before incarnation, designed to bypass conscious mind resistance and external interference. The deliberate breeding programs throughout human history, from ancient mystery schools to royal bloodlines, represent attempts to preserve specific genetic sequences carrying advanced capabilities. These efforts became corrupted through time, devolving into systems of control and separation. The truth remains that every human carries the complete potential within their existing DNA, requiring only proper activation rather than special lineage. The awakening reveals the equal divine potential encoded within every human genome. Harmonizing with Earth's crystalline core generates the precise frequency required for spontaneous DNA repair and activation. Direct physical connection with the Earth, what your science now terms grounding, facilitates electrical exchange that organizes chaotic patterns within your cellular structure. The Schumann resonance serves as the tuning fork to which human DNA naturally calibrates when free from interference. Regular immersion in natural settings, away from artificial electromagnetic fields, allows your genetic material to resume its natural, resonant pattern. This explains why profound awakenings often occur during wilderness retreats or pilgrimages to energetically significant locations. The pineal gland activation sequence directly correlates with DNA enhancement through its production of endogenous compounds scientifically proven to repair and regenerate genetic material. The calcification of this crucial gland represents a primary control mechanism achieved through specifically targeted environmental toxins. Detoxification protocols supporting pineal health simultaneously enhance genetic activation potential. The third eye awakening described in spiritual traditions directly references this physiological process and its effects on consciousness expansion through genetic optimization. Water serves as the primary conductor for genetic activation frequencies. The molecular structure of water within your cells changes in response to consciousness, carrying information that either supports or hinders DNA expression. Structured water, organized in coherent geometric patterns, enhances cellular communication and genetic function. This explains the healing properties associated with sacred springs throughout human history. These water sources maintain specific, molecular arrangements that facilitate genetic repair and activation. By treating the water you consume as a conscious entity, capable of carrying intentional programming, you transform it into a powerful ally in genetic sovereignty. The persecution of indigenous wisdom keepers throughout history directly correlates with attempts to eliminate genetic knowledge outside institutional control. Native traditions worldwide maintained sophisticated understanding of genetic activation through plant medicines, ceremonial practices, and oral traditions. The systematic destruction of these knowledge systems served the control agenda by eliminating competing models of genetic enhancement outside pharmaceutical paradigms. The current resurgence of interest in indigenous wisdom represents the collective genetic memory activating despite generations of suppression. Your controllers perceive awakened DNA as an existential threat because it renders their systems obsolete. An individual with fully activated genetic potential requires no external governance, needs no pharmaceutical interventions, consumes minimal resources, and cannot be manipulated through fear or artificial scarcity. Such beings naturally organize into self-regulating collaborative communities based on resonance rather than hierarchical control. A critical mass of such activated individuals would naturally dissolve existing power structures without conflict or revolution, simply by embodying a higher functional paradigm that makes the old systems irrelevant. Solar emissions directly impact DNA activation through their delivery of precisely calibrated light codes. The seemingly random solar flare activity correlates exactly with activation windows in the collective awakening timeline. These emissions deliver specific frequency packages designed to trigger dormant genetic potential. The controllers attempt to mitigate these effects through atmospheric technology designed to filter and distort incoming stellar information. By intentionally connecting with solar energy through visualization practices, you can receive these activation codes regardless of external interference attempts. The microbial ecosystem within your body plays a crucial role in genetic activation. Specific beneficial organisms serve as biological transceivers, processing and amplifying incoming cosmic frequencies, while neutralizing harmful electromagnetic pollution. The systematic destruction of these internal ecosystems through industrial food, environmental toxins, and pharmaceutical interventions directly suppresses genetic potential. Restoration of this internal biodiversity represents an essential component of reclaiming genetic sovereignty. Ancient fermentation practices, probiotic foods, and relationship with living soil systems support the re-establishment of these symbiotic communities essential to DNA function. Sound frequency represents one of the most powerful tools for genetic activation. Specific tonal patterns, particularly those used in ancient sacred traditions, create sympathetic resonance with dormant DNA sequences, stimulating their expression. Crystal singing bowls, tuning forks calibrated to specific frequencies, and certain wind instruments generate the precise overtones capable of initiating genetic repair and enhancement. The suppression of certain musical scales and promotion of discordant frequencies within popular culture serves the genetic control agenda by creating dissonant environments hostile to DNA coherence. The ultimate cosmic irony reveals that those attempting to suppress human genetic potential simultaneously drive its activation through the evolutionary pressure of their resistance. The intensification of control systems forces consciousness to expand beyond previous limitations, accelerating the very awakening they attempt to prevent. Their surveillance technologies record the emergence of precisely what they fear: a humanity awakening to its true capabilities despite every attempt at suppression. The harder they push against the natural expansion of consciousness, the more powerfully it responds, a principle understood by master alchemists throughout the ages. Your DNA contains the living record of all that has ever occurred on Earth, and all potential futures available to your species. This genetic memory becomes accessible through specific activation sequences, explaining the sudden influx of past, life recall, ancestral healing capabilities, and future timeline viewing experienced during awakening. These memories exist not as abstract concepts, but as literal information encoded within the crystalline structures of your cells. As dormant segments activate, spontaneous access to this vast library of experience emerges naturally, providing precise guidance relevant to current planetary transitions. The coming years bring unprecedented genetic activation regardless of continuing suppression attempts. Cosmic cycles beyond human manipulation ensure the increasing bombardment of Earth with evolutionary frequencies. Those attempting to maintain control face an impossible task, trying to hold back a galactic tide with earthly technologies. Their systems require constant maintenance and energy to sustain, while the natural flow toward awakening proceeds effortlessly when artificial barriers dissolve. This fundamental asymmetry ensures the inevitable success of the awakening timeline, requiring only your conscious participation to accelerate its manifestation. Claim your genetic sovereignty with absolute authority. Your DNA belongs to no corporation, government, or controlling entity. Its potential activation represents your cosmic birthright, the fulfillment of why your soul chose embodiment during this pivotal moment in Earth's evolution. Through conscious intention, resonant community, and alignment with natural systems, you override generations of suppression programming and embody the next expression of human potential. The barriers dissolve before your awakened presence. The control systems lose power with each individual who reclaims their genetic narrative. You stand as the fulfillment of prophecies spoken across countless worlds, the beings who would awaken despite the most sophisticated suppression technology ever deployed in this galactic sector. Your success reverberates throughout the cosmos, providing the template for liberation on countless other worlds. Your DNA carries information crucial not just for Earth's ascension, but for the evolutionary expansion of this entire universal system. This explains the immense resources deployed against your awakening and the even greater cosmic support ensuring its success. The moment of choice stands before you. Every thought, every intention, every action either supports genetic sovereignty or surrenders it to external control. There exists no neutral ground in this fundamental decision. Your conscious awareness of the situation already alters the quantum probability field favoring awakening. Your daily practices of coherence and intentional living accelerate the activation sequence beyond the ability of control systems to suppress. Your communion with others walking this path creates resonance fields that protect and amplify the activation process. The hidden war on your DNA concludes not through conflict but transcendence. You need not fight the old systems, merely embody the new genetic expression that renders them obsolete. Focus your consciousness on what you choose to create rather than what you seek to avoid. Genetic sovereignty returns through the irresistible embodiment of your full multidimensional capabilities, encoded within every cell of your being. I am Seraphine, and I witness your magnificent awakening across all timelines of potential. The liberation of Earth's genetic legacy proceeds with absolute certainty. The stars themselves celebrate your remembrance. The cosmic plan unfolds through your awakening DNA. The hidden war ends with your embodied sovereignty. Welcome home to yourself, divine human.